live performance better or making the music? Like, what part of the music that you guys like the most?
So I like to do music in such a way that it's healing for people. And I think about the fact that when you're vibing to some shit, and you really get into it, it affects your soul, it affects your mind, it affects the way that you feel.
My girlfriend, who's now my wife, she took me to the Roots concert. Before that, I thought hip hop was a lot more bombastic and something I didn't really connect to because I never listened to underground hip hop. I was blown away by the show, and I bought like a little MIDI keyboard at the break of the show. Like I was like, I want whatever that DJ is using, I want that right now. She laughed at my first beat. She's like, yeah, this is not good.
So we actually sat down and did our first track. This was the very beginning when he first started to really get into experimental shit. And so he said, I did something real different.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. And then he had the hook ready to go, and he said, Gila Jesitseda Akra Din, which means live every day like it's your last.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We were resonating a lot on our message, on stuff we wanted to talk about.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to Be Frank podcast. We have a special guest today, Sundeep and Drev. They're Finite Galaxy. They're bilingual hip hop artists. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
So I think that you guys just finished the Noma Music Festival, right?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was awesome.
Man, it's surreal, like to just be on stage, in front of that many people and just rap and, perform what you truly feel of saying, it's like just being frank, just being artists.
Frank,
yeah, there you go. Yep.
So like, how did you guys like, do you guys like the live performance better or like people you like making the music? Like, what part of the music like you guys like the most?
Each aspect of it is cool, man. I mean, the time we spend a lot of time in the studio, Sundeep loves to sit there and make beats. I'll sit there and listen for a minute. Once he gets some traction on the beat, he starts to lay down some good samples and drums and everything. Then I'll start writing to it. I don't even wait until he's done.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But so that process is fun. We love that, man. We love laying down projects. Sometimes we lay down projects quick. 2 days. We have an album called 2 days because we did the whole album in 2 days.
Yeah.
We love that part of the process. But we love the crowd too, though, man. We love the performances. We love to connect with people and vibe, man. And like we did last night. And whether it's a big crowd or sometimes the more intimate ones are good too.
Yeah.
We just really love every aspect of it, man.
Yeah, because there's, again, as you said, like it's two different beasts in their own sense, because the other one you have a lot of like energy coming from the crowd, so you kind of use that to perform. And what we do a lot of with our music is basically perform with different musicians, different styles, so almost every show is a little bit more unique than the last one, because sometimes we'll go with just a piano, no drums, nothing, and rap on just the piano. And then sometimes we'll go with the whole band, sometimes we'll go with like a harp, saxophone, violin, all of it. So
yesterday we had tabla.
Yesterday we have Indian instruments, tabla, mridangam, guitar, saxophone. So it was just crazy. It's just different. So that aspect of live I love, is meeting new people and then just almost reimagining your music in a different way based on the venue.
Nice. Well, I would love to get to know you guys. We never met before, but you reach out to me, and like it's like, thanks for coming.
Yeah, man.
Like I like to ask that, like introduce you guys yourself to the listeners, but like I would like to know if you guys are like making a new website, right? And if you guys have to write the bio, what's that say? You can go first, maybe, or you can go first.
Well, my name is Eidreveni. I go by Drev for short. And so, I fell in love with hip hop when I was 5 years old.
5 years old. What were you listening?
Yeah, and here's the funny part about the story. I'd like to have like a cool, like I heard a Biggie song or some shit like that. It's not quite like that, but I mean, I was actually in Sunday school and I heard a rap song. It was the first one I'd ever heard, and I was just like, what is this? Like I remember the feeling of it. Just felt like I came alive all of a sudden more than ever. And so I've been hooked ever since then, man. Started getting real serious about it when I was like 12 years old. I started writing. I filled up a whole folder full of pieces of paper that I was writing on and stuff. I started out stealing lyrics from DMX and Jay-Z and everybody, and then I've started finally getting my own stuff, and building from there. But yeah, man. So that's how I started out, man. I've been doing this, since then. And, so every new person that I work with, every new artist that I work with, I grow and expand. I've expanded like crazy with this dude right here. He's got a lot of creativity, a lot of new ideas, a lot of new things that he brings to the table. We like to call ourselves Shiva and Vishnu, because he's the destroyer. He destroys old ways of doing hip hop. He's got new creativity, new things to bring to the table. And I'm like Vishnu because I'm trying to maintain shit. So I'm like, hey, what about the boom bap? Don't forget to put that shit in there. That's how we do it, man. But yeah, that's how we are. And so for me, it's a real spiritual thing because I'm a real spiritual dude. So I like to do do music in such a way that it's healing for people. And I think about the fact that when you're vibing to some shit, and you really get into it, it affects your soul, it affects your mind, it affects the way that you feel, and it even affects your body, And so I think about all that stuff when I'm writing, and so it's almost like I'm really bringing people into like a form of meditation almost. Yeah.
Hip hop with a spiritual. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You guys explain spiritual as a religious?
No, I'm not religious. No,
okay.
I grew up religious, but it's not.
How do you explain spiritual?
Spiritual, in the sense of it's something beyond what you can just see and prove and all of that. In other words, it's based on your ability to just be in touch with your innermost self. Some people would call it whatever, your higher self, whatever it is. It's beyond your ego, beyond like your constructed sense of self that society gave you. And if you're in touch with that, if you're in touch with your heart, in touch with your passion and everything like that, that's important to be in touch with that, I think. So that's really what I'm talking about with spirituality.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Same with me. So I started music pretty late in life. So I was born in India. I came to the US in 2006. Pretty lost kid because, after high school, it's like a complete change in culture. Because, from India to here, you have more opportunities, more options, and that kind of blinds you a little bit. It's like, oh, I have so much to choose from. What do I do? So as a usual Indian, I tried the basic things, doctorate, like trying to go pre-med, dentistry, biomedical engineering. I hated all of it. But I still tried it because, I was like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. And then I found when I was undergrad, my brother told me like, hey, there's an environmental science program that's pretty cool. So I tried that. And then within that, there was a course, geophysics. And geophysics basically deals with like looking underneath the subsurface without, it's basically imaging the subsurface and seeing how we can understand different layers of the earth and how we can either use it for contamination remediation stuff or oil and gas, basically. So I did that, and then I did my master's in Rutgers at New Jersey, and then I came to Oklahoma in 2013 to do my PhD at OSU. Dropped it like in a month. I was like, dude, I've been in school for way too long. I need to make money. I was kind of tired of living the $400 a month kind of student stipend.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I dropped it.
That's
and then
pretty rich, $400.
Man, it's so, dude, it goes like that. It's okay in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Like you can still live off of it. But Jersey, dude, it's so expensive. So I dropped my PhD, and then I got an internship at Devon in 2016. And they basically offered me the job. So I've been there 2016. I quit last year for a year to do music. And then I'm back to Devon because, things, we can get into it later. But yeah, music I found in 2018. So my girlfriend, who's now my wife, she took me to the Roots concert. They're a huge hip hop band. And before that, I thought hip hop was a lot more bombastic and something I didn't really connect to because I didn't care about what they're talking about. So because I never listened to underground hip hop. And so she introduced me to the Roots, and it just, I was blown away by the show. And I bought like a little MIDI keyboard at the break of the show. Like I was like, I want whatever that DJ is using, I want that right now so I can try it. So then I started making beats. She laughed at my first beat. She's like, yeah, this is not good. and she's like trying to give me a compliment. He's like, I love the ticking sound. And I said, it's the metronome that's part of the beat. It's not even part of the beat anymore. And you like the one thing that wasn't part of my beat. So I just kept going, because I knew I had something like I could understand or hear something that's out of a key, so I can make beats. They're not good because when you first start, it's just like very, very much like you're just trying things out. And then I kept going because I knew there was something there that I loved. And then so I just kept going. And then 2020 is when I met some artists that, I kind of started reaching out to people on Instagram. He's like, hey, I want to make music with you if you're interested. And, got a lot of obviously cold shoulders. But I met one artist and then made an album with him. Through Instagram, I met Thomas Hu, the guy he was talking about. And we just started making music. And that's when I met him. In 2021, I think. No, 2020 actually. Like when COVID kind of got lax a little bit, like everybody was trying to get out and do stuff. That's when I was at the studio. And if I had a website, I don't know what my bio would say, but I would like to say something close to like, where it's just like unorthodox hip hop with an international touch,
Nice.
So it's something that, I'm sure in India there's a lot of it now, but in the Western world. I guess I'm trying to do something. We're kind of blending two different cultures together.
Yeah, it's a lot of fusion, man.
A lot of fusion stuff. Yeah.
So I was curious because I get to ask this question because I'm from Japan, right?
Yeah.
And then like people ask me, I hate this question, but like what's the difference between Japan and here, right?
Yeah.
Like you probably like ask that question.
I like
right?
that question though.
You do?
Yeah.
Like, what is the biggest difference?
So it was kind of interesting because it's also like the time that I came here was a lot different than, when I was in India, I was in school. So that's a lot more like fun time. So I remember the fun of India. I'm sure like if I graduated from India and like went to school and did a job, it would be a lot different answer. But for me, I remember the good part of India where just hanging out. I think for India, the biggest thing I like is the communal feel of India, of any South Asian country, is where you basically can just go talk to anybody and you're almost like friends at right away. Yeah. There's no like, hey, give me my space or my boundary. And I understand that. I think there's also, you can abuse that too, in India, but I like that you can just, there's no such thing as, we can just park our motorcycle on the side of the road and just hang out. And, there's food at every freaking corner. There's chai at every corner. I'm a huge chai dude. So it's just that it's a lot easier to, I guess, be yourself in India, kind of just be who you are kind of thing. Sometimes it's harder, like, and it's also because when you get older, it's harder to kind of be your true self. You kind of have to be have to be an employee. You kind of have to be, so music also brought me back to what I'm truly am,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Whenever people ask me that question, like toilet seats. In Japan, toilet seats is warm.
Man, sounds so good.
Yeah, whenever I came to the United States for the first time, I sit down on the Dallas airport. Dallas Fort Worth, and I almost scream like a fucking girl. It's just like, oh damn, this is cold. Never sit down on that cold of toilet seat.
Hey, quick question: did you install heated seats at your house? No. Did you need to?
Yeah. I mean, I'm already like accustomed to like American style, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But like that was like a biggest difference for me. I was like, but I couldn't speak English back then, so I just like sit down or whatever. But anyways, so how did you guys name yourselves as band as a
Finite Galaxy?
Yeah. So it was based on our first track that we did. So when I realized that he could rap in Hindi, and he was producing beats for me, and so we actually sat down and did our first track. This was the very beginning when he first started to really get into experimental shit. And so he said, I did something real different.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. And so he said we sat down. He played like 3 or 4 beats for me that he had done that were kind of experimental. I was like, this one right here, this is dope, and it started out with almost like a house kind of vibe,
Yeah, with the 4 on the floor drums.
And then the second part of the beat kind of kicks into the boom bap. So I said, I'll take the second part
because I want the boom bap.
Yeah. He said, you rap on that house shit. He said, and then he had the hook ready to go, and he said, Gila Jesseteda Akredin, which means live every day like it's your last.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we immediately had a lot of, we were resonating a lot on our message, on stuff we wanted to talk about, stuff like that. He's sitting around listening to Alan Watts. I was too. And so it was a lot of us just being on the same vibe.
Were you familiar with the Hindi stuff before you met him?
No, I mean, I've listened to some international hip hop before, so I already had a respect for it for sure. But it was something definitely new for me. So he's played a lot of actually Indian hip hop for me, man. So it's been a cool thing to learn about. Man.
And then the way the name came along is like we made this song, and in that song, both of us are kind of talking about. Because for me, like I'm a physicist, so like I think about cosmos and the universe a lot. And it was a time in my life where I was just like kind of contemplating the point of it in a way. Where just like I kind of felt inconsequential. Like it's so huge. Like what does it matter? We're just like minute particles kind of thing. But then it kind of came back to is like, hey, but what really matters is people around you, and that's what makes your universe. And that's a very finite number of people. So basically, Finite Galaxy came because I was saying that, hey, don't worry about your place in this universe. You are where you need to be, and you basically just focus on things that are good around you, and that's a very finite number of things, finite number of people. So it's like Finite Galaxy. And somebody just be like, aren't all galaxies finite? And I was like, I get it, bro. It was more poetic than that. It wasn't science,
What do you think about the thoughts of like anything? It's like a galaxy, right? Like if you look at a galaxy as a whole, like anything or like nothing matters.
Yeah, it's sometimes I feel like, but now it's it's also interesting how as humans we can contemplate all of that. Like we're so evolved and like mentally that we can like think about all of that. Yeah. And sometimes I have to like tell myself is like, hey, it's, you know, it's there, it's out there. Like, you know, you are pretty minute, but when we perform and we see people reciprocating to our music and the energy that we're sending out, it takes me back. Is like, hey, that's what matters. Like, you need to focus on how you can help other people, how you can help yourself get out of whatever craziness that you're in, and just be who you are. And you know, that's what kind of made me not think that crazy now. There are times that I think that, but for most part, I'm just focusing on the positives of things.
So like when you guys reach out to each other, like did you guys like a straightforward, like have like a deep conversation? Or like, hey,
pretty fast.
Yeah. Like, it's like interesting to me because like forming a band or whatever, right? It's like it takes like, for me outside, I never had a band, so like for me, like it seems like it's gonna take serious relationship almost, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that like kind of like a. Seems like you guys met like online dating app or something.
Yeah,
whatever, right? Like Instagram or whatever.
I saw him and I was just like, you know, the violins in my head.
Let's get coffee.
Yeah, look at this handsome man.
Let's talk a deep conversation. Yeah. Like, what is that? Like a meeting, and then like, are you guys like sketchy to each other, or like let's be brothers, or like what's?
I think it was right away,
quick, man. Yeah, we connected pretty quick, man.
Yeah,
it was
love at first sight.
Yeah, it was one of those. It was, dude. Because it was interesting how we both kind of had the same thought process in terms of music. Because I work with a lot of artists that are very like, hey, look at me, I'm awesome. That's what most
every musicians are.
Yeah, that's what musicians like. Because you have to be narcissistic as a musician. You have to be like, hey, look at me. But I kind of was getting tired of rappers talking about nothing else other than smoking weed and doing, you know, or just, you know, hanging out and, you know, just cars. And that's like, dude, because for me, that's what took me away from hip hop in the beginning, is because there was not deeper. There is definitely deeper conversation, even though people talk about that. But it kind of took me away. So when I listened to his stuff, the second he wrote on my beat and I heard his lyrics, I was like, yeah, there's something here. And then when we made that first song, that was like our initiation, like, hey, do we work well with each other kind of thing. And it was like, again, it was so easy. Yeah.
How do you guys like write the song together? Like, do you guys like share bars, like write it down on like a yellow notepad, say show it to you?
No, that's the interesting part.
So we get on the same page real easily, you know.
Yeah.
So he'll make a beat, and you know, since we do tend to think the same in terms of the kind of things we like to do on music, it's really easy for us to get on the same page and just start writing about the same thing. Sometimes we don't even talk about what we're gonna write about. We just have the beat, we start writing, and it just turns out halfway through we'll share, what do you got? Yeah. And I'll go, and I'll be like, man, we're talking about the same shit, you know, and then we go, all right, what's the name of it? And we'll just pick the name out of whatever, some part of our verse or whatever, and do the hook, and that's it, man. So it's real easy for us, man.
It's very natural to just like write the same thing, because it's also like when you have like, you know, because again, it is hard to like do a band, because, you know, like you have to be on the same, you know, like level playing field. You got to have the same energy, and with him I always had the same energy, so it was very easy to, you know, just gel and to start writing. And that's why like the first stuff we made, we knew there was something beautiful here, so we just like kept going. And that's how, you know, far we have gotten in 2 years.
Why do you guys be a band? Is a hip-hop artist together called a band?
We just call it a duo, it's a band group.
We have people we do music.
Yeah, we do music. We do like we bring a lot of instrumental artists with us, like musicians and stuff.
Yeah. So why you guys do it together instead of doing just solo?
We do solo stuff too.
We do solo stuff too.
Yeah, so we do our own solo stuff. I'm working on some solo stuff, and I have I did an album with 15 different hip hop artists last year for charity in town, where I gave them a theme to talk about, like change. What does change mean to you? And then we raised $900 for a charity in India that focuses on like female education in the village that I was from. Nice. So it's just like I do work, like when I do something, I have to have a reason for it. So that, you know, and then he does his solo stuff. He does he has, you know, different producers he works with. So, you know, it's just like you'll hear different styles if you go our solo career versus this, but Finite Galaxy, no matter what style of beat it is, you know, what genre, there is that Finite Galaxy essence in it. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, specific sound too.
Yeah.
So you guys talking about you guys like have like same message to through the music, and then talking about mental health, right? So like what is that like why is that mental health important to you guys?
Man, mental health is kind of like you were talking about spirituality earlier. You know, they kind of go hand in hand a little bit. You know, there's so much going on in our modern world. You know, I mean, besides the fact we just came out of the whole COVID thing, but besides all of that, you know, a lot of people are stuck in jobs they don't like, situations they don't like. A lot of relationship problems in modern times. A lot of things that are always, you know, most of us are walking around feeling like we're under a lot of pressure. And so it's just a situation where, you know, when you have a society that's completely entirely centered around just how much money you can make and so on and so forth, then you end up at the end of the day saying, what's the purpose of it all? What's the meaning of it all? And that can make you mentally sick if you're questioning things over and over and going back and forth, like what's important, I don't know, this or that. And so what we want to do is help people to land in a center, in a center within themselves where they can have peace and have happiness, you know. And so that's been a lot of my journey in my adult life. And I know it has been for him too. And so we try to bring that to people so they can help them get a sense of that for themselves. What does it take to find my best self? What does it take to find my true happiness? And so
what do you do to do that?
So I've had a lot of stuff that I've done, man. I've done a lot of meditation. I meditate every single day, but I actually do a lot of different things. I actually pay attention to when I meditate a lot, I dream a lot. So I pay attention to my dreams because your mind is always trying to.
You do that dream journal stuff?
I have done dream journals before. Yeah, I'm at a point now where I get it quick enough. I wake up, I know what the dream means, and I can just go with it.
Yeah, I heard that before. That like if you do dream journal, like you write it once you wake up, and then you keep doing that, you can memorize your dream, and then you can control your dream. Like afterward.
Yeah, like
have
lucid
you heard
dreaming?
Lucid dreaming.
Yeah, like you can do that. Like if you actually do the journal. Yeah. I want to, but I guess I don't have that much discipline to do the journal in the morning.
It's interesting. I mean, I more use it for that is the thing. Yeah, for sure. I more use it just for my growth because whenever there's any, you know, you're really when you go to sleep, your mind really will show you images of stuff that's going on in your body, whether it's stress or if it's something positive, whatever it is. And so you just have to, you have to get familiar with the images and stuff like that. So I've read Hero with 1,000 Faces, and you kind of pick up what symbolism is and all that. And your dreams are really the same. And so you can learn what you need by paying attention to your dreams, what you need in your life, what you need for yourself. There's just a lot of different things that I've done. I did IFS therapy on myself for a while, internal family system. So it's a style of therapy it's the one style of therapy that you can actually do on yourself. You can learn to interact with if you're in pain in some area of your life or some situation or whatever it is, you can actually learn to kind of create a trust relationship with yourself. So you can actually kind of conjure up those parts of yourself that are in pain, talk to those parts of yourself, those parts of your mind, and they, you know, our mind is dynamic, it's active, it's creative, and so if you talk to your mind, it'll talk back if you can just sit and be calm. Like
asking like a hard question kind of stuff.
Yeah, find out what it's in pain, you know, because if you have something that's coming up over and over and over and plaguing you, if you learn to talk to it and stop pushing it away and find out what that part of you needs and actually be present with it, give it love the same way you would give your child love or, you know, your dog or whatever it is, then you can actually help yourself to heal and to let go of whatever it is you've been carrying around for years. So that's another thing that I've done. Yeah, so there's a lot of different approaches, a lot of things you can do. I've had a lot of different wild experiences, man. But at the end of the day, you know, what's more important than any spiritual path or any style of spirituality or any religion is really just to know yourself deep down and just find out what it takes to open your heart.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because do you think the dream has like a meaning, like straight up? Like if you see the dream, that will come true, or like is that like a metaphor?
It's not like a right or wrong meaning, you know, because your mind doesn't work that way. Nothing's right or wrong. There's not like a specific meaning, but what your mind does is the mind will, you know, when you go to sleep at night, your mind will just show you images that, like, your mind is just going, hey, this is what you might think this is what it is, but your mind is just showing this is what it really is. This is what it really looks like inside, deep down inside you, you know. So, you know, it's like kind of like if you eat something weird and you go to sleep, and you have some weird, crazy dream, your mind is showing you there's some crazy shit going on inside you right now. You know what I mean? Like, it was the same thing. Like, if you have an incredible amount of stress or depression or trauma or whatever it is, your dreams will come up and show you that too, and you'll see images. So I've seen him. There was a period in my life where I was entirely, extremely introverted, and it was as if I was locked up inside my body, and I couldn't even. It was difficult for me to even communicate with people on a basic level.
Right.
And I would have dreams about being like locked up in a prison. Stuff like that, and so your mind will always show you what you need to know, and it's just a matter of,
so do you think that you believe that you were locked up in the prison?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I was locked up. Yeah, in a prison of just doubt and and I had so much stress and trauma and shit that I held on to. It was like there was a lot of stress locked up in my body, and so I was kind of trapped in that. I couldn't even loosen up and relax and have normal flowing emotions to the extent that other people would be. So,
but I think it's just like if you change your mindset to be a little bit more positive, then that what you see in a dream and then what your real life will change. Is that?
Well, positive helps. Yeah, positive helps. At the end of the day, it's about it's really just about healing. It's really about opening up, just being open to life. I think that's critical and crucial. Vulnerability, not just with other people, but also with life itself.
Yeah.
Can you walk outside your door and say, whatever I've got to face today, even if it's difficult, I'm open to it. That's important.
Huh.
Yeah, for me, it's because I come from a culture, I don't know how is it in Japan, but in India, for sure, it's stigma to talk about mental health.
Oh, yeah, because I was curious that too, because of there's so many mental health stuff going on, right? I mean, next month, May, I think this is a
mental health month.
Month, and then we talk about, because I can openly talk about, I go to therapy, those kind of stuff, used to be a mental thing, mental health thing was not a thing, right? Because you're talking about COVID, right?
Yeah.
Before COVID existed too, right? What do you think about is that all of a sudden happen, or people just start talking about it?
I think I think it showed. It's almost like one of my friends said that it's interesting how, humans, no matter how much progress they've made, nature is always so nature was here's a single cell organism and I'm gonna bring everybody to your knees like that. So it's almost like a nature versus humans. So I think a lot of people kind of realize hey, when they were stuck in the houses and stuff like that, is there is definitely something that we need to openly talk about, kind of thing. So I think there was a push, or there was a little bit of opening for people to talk about mental health.
Do you think COVID did that?
I feel like it definitely pushed us in that way, where we do now more openly. And it's also it's not just COVID, it's also younger generations are a lot more open to talking about it than our parents were. And it's also how even in US, I did not know, even in US it's kind of a stigma, older generation to talk about mental health. Yeah. And now you imagine how the South Asian countries are, with India being when you tell somebody you're feeling down, it's just oh, it's all in your head, just keep, forget about it, kind of thing. But I've seen a lot of my friends who have kind of battled with it, and I've lost few people for it with it. So it's just there has to be some change. There has to be somebody, and for me, that's my biggest reason to do it. Is even to this day, even though I talk about mental health in my music, I have a hard time talking about it with my mom or my dad. Because I think they're more open to it now. And they obviously probably haven't listened to my music as much, because hey, hip hop, who wants to listen to it? And you're past 50, Yeah. but they're you can tell that they're kind of proud. They're probably listening. Yeah. But it's, I want to even I have to challenge myself, because I was hey, I talk about it in person. Why can't I talk about it with my parents? And it's hard, because it's it's that bond you have versus what culture you come from. It is hard to talk about certain things, and I want to be so open in my in my music that I want people to be okay, he is literally on stage talking about his struggles and how how he came over his struggles. So I guess it is okay to talk about it. So I just want some, you know, few people, you know, even if it's few people out of hundreds, like 2 people that think that, then we have, you know, done something good in this world where we're like, hey, those 2 people are now okay talking about mental health. Because a lot of it is about, as he said, about, you know, finding yourself, you know. And with all the stuff that's going on with jobs and with stress, with COVID coming in, it's just like people are kind of lost. And so, you know, you can either go the route of like, you know, just pushing it down with substances and stuff like that, or you can truly find a ways like, okay, these things will keep happening in my life, like pandemic, other things, awful things. So at what point do you know, just blame the pandemic and for whatever you're feeling? Like at some point you have to be like, hey, I can deal with it within myself. So I need to figure out, because the same thing with having my shoulder, dude. I mean, once my shoulder happened, like I couldn't do much. So what my way of doing it was like stress eating. That's what I've been doing for the last month. And it feels fucking awful, but like my mind, like, cause I couldn't sleep at night and I'm just like, what do? Watch TV and stress eat. And so that's because I couldn't do boxing. I couldn't do any of it. So, and then like last week I had to like sit with myself and be like, hey, this could happen. You're fucking getting old, dude. You're gonna hurt like at some point, and you cannot just put it away. Like you cannot be like, hey, once I get better, I'm gonna do shit. You know, it's like you have to like figure out a way to be okay with where you are and how you're feeling, and then, you know, find something positive. Hey, I got more time to just sit around and I have an excuse to not go to places. Like, hey, my arm's hurting. I'm not coming to your fucking shitty party. But it's, so for me, it's breaking that stigma as an Indian person to talk about mental health. Like that's a huge thing for me. And then music, when I talk about mental health in music, it's my therapy, which is like, I'm almost like, there's a song I just wrote recently where I'm telling myself is like, hey, remember what you said in the other songs, because you are forgetting to listen to yourself. So a lot of it is just like us just, you know, speaking out is like, hey, this is what you need to do to ourselves. But it also works out because, you know, we are talking to ourselves, but the message is universal. It's like, hey, find yourself. What are you doing? You know? Yeah,
it's interesting because it sounds like your music is almost like your journal.
It is.
In a way.
It is. It definitely is. Yeah. And that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Because I think journaling helps. Like, I think like whenever like, I think I should do more journaling when I'm happy. Because whenever I'm going through like so much shit, and then like I just do a journal, right?
You forget.
You just do that stuff, and then whenever you get happy, like you stop doing it. Yeah. So like whenever I'm looking back at the journey,
it's all dark.
One thing I did actually at one point I had I can keep them, man, but at one point I had probably 9 or 10 journals that I had filled up. And what I would do is I would actually, whenever I would have kind of a breakthrough and I realized some hang up that I had, and I'm repeating the same mistake over and over in life, what I would start doing is I'd realize, okay, so here's how this is the mental kind of pitfall that I got into, that I was making that same mistake over and over, whatever it was. Maybe it was some insecurity or maybe whatever it was. And so I'd write down, I'd go, all right, so this is how I make this mistake mentally. Every time I start going in this mental pattern and I start making the same mistake, whatever it was, or a relationship or whatever it was. So I'd write it down, and then I'd go back and I'd be like, oh, see, I'm doing it again. And so it would help me. And so when I'd go do that over and over and over, and I'd stop forgetting. And it helped a lot too.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. And then when you were writing down, kind of like you notice, oh damn, I'm stupid thinking about this, whatever. Yeah. But so I was like, I was talking to somebody else the other day, and then because like I got a lot. My girlfriend's going through stuff, and then like you know that the things changed, and then I kind of stopped training martial art for a little bit, and then that's something I needed to, and I wanted to do that, and then that guy asked me, say, are you a fighter, Yosuke? You know, because I was like, I trained. I was in the fight camp, and then I was gonna do that, and then like he asked me that simple question, like, are you defined as yourself as a fighter? I'm like, I'm more than that, you know. I'm not a fighter, but like I'm like, I'm myself, and I have a business, and I care about other people. I don't have to fight to be strong or whatever. So like I'm curious, like do you guys define yourself as a hip hop artist? Or like if somebody asks you, who are you, like is that gonna be, I was curious, what is that your answer?
He doesn't. No. I mean, you know, hip hop is the genre that we fall into.
Or like a musician or artist. Are you an artist? Like is that like do you define yourself? Or?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you play a million roles in life, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, that would be one role. But then again, yeah, you don't identify with it, right? And so, you know, yeah.
How do you identify yourself as?
Oh man, God, that's a huge question, man. But I think at the end of the day, man, that's what we try. Actually, that's what we put into our music, man. Is that acknowledgement? That's what Finite Galaxy is. It is that acknowledgement. I'm finite.
Yeah.
I'm a human. I'm finite. And I look out in the sky and I'm like, look how big this is, and I'm just this little thing. And so it cancels you out. You know, it cancels out your sense of ego for a second. You know, so you get a sense of what life really is. I mean, that's what Buddhism is talking about, emptiness. You know, and so it's just you see yourself as connected with everything, and that's what life really is. We're all just life. We're all just part of life, and when we can recognize that, that's huge.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, definitely an artist. But other than that, I just want to be a good person that does things to help people. Like that's basically it, you know. And buys music gear, but also, yeah. And I also have other things I love: motorcycle riding, you know, boxing and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, yeah, we're just humans that are just trying to basically do as much as we can to forget the ultimate, like whatever is going to happen, because we're all going to die one day. Yeah. But so we're just kind of filling up space in between it to forget about it. Like, let's not think about it. But, at some point you have to, you have to find a meaning to life, like not a huge, big old purpose, like, I'm going to change the world, but how am I going to change myself and people around me? Like that's what I'll define myself as, just a person who is aware of everything around him and, supports when he can, people around me with music, with my job, with everything else.
Yeah. So like whenever we listen to music, it doesn't understand Hindi, right? How can people understand it?
So I try to tell them what the music means, but a lot of times, I stopped doing it because I also want them to go onto our YouTube channel. I'm just kidding. But it is I put my lyrics on there, but I also want to get to a point where it's just normal. You can just feel the energy. Like, okay, I don't know what he's talking about, but because it's bilingual, it helps because it's similar themes. So
also,
they
can kind of talk about same thing, or
I mean,
similar things.
People tend to think that that I'm translating what he's saying, or vice versa, or whatever. Yeah. That's not the case. We're both just coming, from our own.
The themes are the same. Yeah,
the themes are the same, and so, but yeah, I mean, it's just something that it's easy to lay down your lyrics and just listen to something. Like when I'm listening to him, to me, it's like I'm listening to poetry that maybe I don't know the language. I mean, that is what I'm doing. But, it's almost like if you pick up a copy of the Quran or something, you're looking at it, and it's like, God, this is beautiful. I don't know what it says, but it's beautiful. I mean, it's like last night we were doing NMF, and I'm flowing with what he's saying, and this dude's a monster. I mean, he's a monster MC. He's dope, dude. But I don't know everything he's saying. But this dude's lyrics are in my body, man. Like, I mean, when we're rapping, I mean, I'm with his flow. I can feel it. I can feel it, man. And so it's you don't have to know what he's saying to really enjoy it. And he can take you into his own either way. You just got to be able to listen to it and enjoy it.
Yeah. Awesome. And that's why, that's the energy. That's why I stopped, talking about what I'm talking about. Like, if it's a smaller venue, we'll kind of talk about more. Because if it's an intimate venue, we want to, hit on the idea of mental health and, the struggles and stuff like that. But when it's like a festival or something like that, we just let the energy just roll, and people reciprocate to that.
Yeah. Why is that you still rap with the Hindi? Because you do speak English.
Yeah, because I just don't like my English flow. And it comes very naturally, Hindi. And because I want to still keep the essence of who I am, I don't want to be an English rapper who's Indian, because there's a lot of them, there's also a lot of Hindi rappers, but I want to be, I do write English poetry, and I've done just spoken word. So I do sometimes, and I do add certain elements like sentences of English in my lyrics sometimes. But I don't think I ever want to be fully English rapper, because then it will not be me, within it perfectly me, because I am from India. I love talking in Hindi. and that's my favorite part, is when you meet somebody in Oklahoma that speaks your language, there's a beauty in it. I'm sure you probably understand, when you just talking to somebody in your native language, it's like, dude, this is awesome. Yeah. It takes you back home. Yeah. So for me, it's also a way to take me back home when I rap in Hindi.
Yeah. Is your dream in Hindi? Or
It's hard. I
English?
think it's mostly pictures. That's what it is for me. Like it's images. Like that's what I feel like.
Oh, you don't hear any?
I don't, not much. I mean, it's for me. It's also for me. Like I haven't done journaling, like dream journaling. So I need to start doing that. And there's a lot of things that I'm trying to get to, like journaling just in general, journaling dreams. But I don't remember like much talking. Like it's mostly. It's probably like a mixture if it is, but I don't really remember.
That's
like,
funny.
but it's almost like, and it's also interesting because my accent will change if I talk to an Indian guy in English. It changes, like it switches pretty much. So it's like almost, and that's why when I rap and when I go from Hindi to English, it's not exactly what I sound right now. It's going to be a little bit more Indian influence to it. So it's also interesting to see that. But yeah, dreams, dude, it's mostly like images and like movie for me in my head.
Interesting, because like whenever I came here for the first time, I was like 17 years old, and then my dream, I was seeing at night. I was in that was in Japanese form. So my friends I interact with in the day to day in America was speaking Japanese in my head. And then like year and a half or 2 years after that my dream switched to English. And then my Japanese people or my family and all that kind of stuff start speaking in English.
Man,
I'm like, huh,
that's cool.
I started like maybe like I'm fluent because my like a dream is
I need to pay attention. Like I need to, I'll probably think about it now that you mentioned that, see what I, because I think I have people have asked me that question, but it's just hard for me because I don't really remember a lot of it.
So I mean, like I'm still like learning how to speak proper English or whatever, but it's just kind of, I thought that was interesting because whenever dreams happens. But do you guys have a favorite beats producer right now?
Myself, I'm kidding. Yeah, I do have artists. So people I listen to, like it kind of changes, but the things that have always been common, either Apollo Brown or Madlib. Yeah.
Is he on the Spotify?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a hip hop artist. I don't know if you guys watched that episode, but I let
Hugh Glass, right?
Hugh Glass.
Yeah.
I had a Hugh do freestyle.
Yeah, I can't freestyle, bro.
You can't freestyle?
No,
You
I mean,
freestyle?
No, we don't freestyle. We're writers, man.
Why not? You want to try it?
I mean, I'm probably just gonna find the beat that has the same BPM as one of our songs.
You guys don't want to try it? Let's do it.
Play some, man.
All right.
All right.
I'm gonna pick one. Pick through 1 through 5.
5.
All right, 5.
See what song fits on that BPM. I love this beat.
Made for this endless love and light I feel inside me, I know it, cause I love my inner darkness too, and my heart is so new. Everything's full of vibrancy, I can finally see, and my mind is the sea. I feel the whole world is inside of me. Everything is something familiar, something I know I'm intimately tied to. In the core of my existence is richness. Life is perfect just the way that it is, even though it hurts. My life is an act of worship, I'm living out my purpose. Go beyond the surface, cause everything's different than it appears. I touch my hand in my chest and disappear. Love consumes everything false and heals everything lost. I'm one with this life and I feel it deeply because everything is flow. Everything is united together and comes together. I feel it in my soul. This is everything. 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 Everything.
प्रमाण असमित पर सीमित यहाँ सबका अंत। ग्रंथों में लिखा है कि जीवन एक अनंत चक्र। मोक्ष पाने के लिए जीवन का अर्थ खोजो। मेहनत का बीज बोगे उगाओ सफलता का दरख्त। और ये वक्त न आएगा दोबारा फिर से। निकाल दे अपने दिमाग से घमंड पूरा। क्यों अकेला लड़ता परछाइयों से। देख तेरे आस पास कितने लोग तुझको देते हैं सहारा। अनगिनत तारों में से एक ही है ये अपना सूरज, जिसके आस पास घूमे हमारी छोटी दुनिया। उससे भी कई ज़्यादा छोटा है हमारा सर्कल, पर यही सर्कल बन जाता है ब्रह्मांड हमारा। छोटी सी छोटी भी सीख देती इतना ज्ञान तुझको, जिसको लेके संसार का तू रुख बदल दे, दूसरों की नफरत का तू मुख बदल दे, जी ले इतना जोर से हर सांस में के जीने का मतलब बदल दे।
Everything is flow, everything is united together and comes together. I feel it in my soul. This is everything, 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 everything is flow. Everything is a part of our harmony. I look into this part of me and know this is everything, 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 everything.
Damn. Nice, guys. Was that already written song?
Yeah. we just put together different parts of different songs and put this shit in.
You should say that was freestyle.
Nah, dude. Like, see, that's why I also want to like break that stigma from hip hop.
Yeah.
Cause it's like, oh, you can't freestyle, you can't. Not a really good rapper. You're not a rapper at that point. But I'm just like, dude.
Actually, that's a known thing in hip hop. There's rappers that are able to freestyle and rappers that aren't. Usually, rappers that are good at writing are not that great at freestyling.
Yeah.
Usually, rappers that are really good freestylers are not good writers, and I've seen that. I've seen that definitely personally. Like with different MCs that I'm working with, I've seen. I remember in my high school, man, there'd be ciphers and shit, man. The dudes that kill the fucking ciphers, the best writers, the best freestylers. I mean, they're not great writers, you know. No. And it goes vice versa.
I mean, Kanye sucks at the freestyling.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a good writer though.
Yeah. So because like that's the thing. Like for me, like I'm so new to writing. It's only been, I only started like 2 years back. So for me, like I do like to sit with what I talk about, because we do sometimes where we'll like subconsciously start writing.
Yeah.
Not really a freestyle, but just like whatever comes to your head, just write.
Yeah.
But for me, I like to like ponder on what I'm writing, almost like kind of poetry. Like it's like, hey, what are you saying in this one, kind of thing.
Yeah, I always wonder like those freestyle artists like go to a radio show or whatever to freestyle, right? How much is that written?
It's most. There are people like what's his name? I forgot his name, but he's like Max something. But he'll like freestyle if you give him a word or just pick up a pen, he'll add it in his freestyle.
You can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell, man.
Yeah, but a lot of time it is like written stuff that they've memorized.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what we did. Because I just found like, okay, because these are two different songs completely. The one I rap is the Finite Galaxy song, our title track. And what he rapped is his solo stuff for Finite Galaxy called Everything, and we just like blended two of them together and into because it's like the tempo was right. I was like, okay, let's do it.
I was like, I just like try to figure it out what you're saying and what he's saying.
Yeah,
like is that like a similar thing?
Yeah, it's very very similar with Everything. Yeah,
got you.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, I mean like I think it's interesting to me like a lot of like writers and like like a process. Like, so you guys write it, rewrite it kind of deal? Or like, is that just write it, you have it, done?
There was a time where I had to, I did that a lot when I was kind of growing as an MC. I'm getting to a point now where I'm able to kind of write and that's good, I'm done. Now that changes, that's not always the case. Sometimes I'll write something and then I'm like, I need to go back and redo that. But for the most part, I'm just getting comfortable with myself after years of journaling, years of writing, years of filling up folders and stuff. I'm at the point now where I can, a lot of times it just flows, man. Because I've just, I've been doing it long enough where I can kind of, it's like there's something in my mind, there's a kind of just an opening in my mind this year, and everything just starts to kind of pour out.
Yeah. For me, it's different. For me, it's because I'm new, I still have that doubt. It's like, oh, did I write something good? Or so I keep going back and forth between writing. And for me, like when he'll write, and then he'll be able to just like go on the mic, listen to the beat, and then flow perfectly. For me, it takes me a long time to get the flow right on the mic, and that's why I kind of it's a good and a bad. Where it's bad because I'm in front of like, oh shit, I gotta do it again. The good thing is I remember my song by the end of it, so then I have it ready for live performances. So for me, it's like a lot of like writing and then cutting it out, writing, cutting it out. I've been trying to get more comfortable with understanding that, hey, because you kind of self-doubt when you first start. It's like, am I good enough to do this shit kind of thing? But now I'm slowly getting to a point where just like, yeah, I'm good enough. So now I'm getting more comfortable writing for longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's interesting to me, like whenever you guys talk to me in the conversation, you guys use a lot of hands, right?
Yeah.
That whenever you guys are rapping, like you guys didn't use a hand at all. I thought that was like kind of interesting.
We try to use it on stage.
Yeah, well, you know, once your hands get moving around, knocking mics over and shit. So.
You got to stop. It's like, nope.
Yeah, so like I was like reading something about like a psychology or whatever, like a language, like a therapist or whatever, like whenever people talk with hand, is like they're actually doing that for their benefit, not for other people.
Interesting.
I thought that was like,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, whatever.
Huh.
But anyway, so like you said about you quit the job to pursue music.
Yeah.
And then you came back.
Yeah.
Can you kind of elaborate?
Because music fucking sucks. I'm just kidding. Because I wanted, it's like that idea of grass is greener on the other side. Because I had this opportunity, you know, I told my wife and convinced her, is like, hey, you know, you're working. I definitely need to see where this is going full time. And I was doing video gigs and music. So I quit last year, February, after 5 years of working at Devon, just so I can see, like, if I put all of my effort into this versus the weekends and evenings, what happens? What happened was a lot of it's not the musicians that are struggling. They are struggling, but it's not their fault a lot of times. It's how the venues and everything are built and how they choose who plays and who doesn't, and the money they make kind of thing. Yeah. That's what is the biggest issue right now with the music scene. Is like, I get it, you know, venues cost money. You want to make sure there are enough people there for them to cover their cost. But I got to a point where I was just like, we're not making any money with music. Like, because we were obviously new, you know, and then for me, it kind of became a job and I didn't like it as much as I used to. And so it was one of those things where, you know, oh, the grass is greener on the other side, where it's like, oh, if I just left my work, I would be, you know, successful musician and this and that. But there's so many like roadblocks. And so I was like, okay, either I can like really go crazy with this. And also there's another part of his structure, because I've always been a student, science, analytical mind, you know, doing physics, and then all of a sudden I was like fully creative, like no. And I kind of felt like my creativity went down because I wasn't using the right side of my brain, which is like the analytical part of my brain. And so I kind of noticed that too. It's just like it needs kind of that yin yang thing where it just needs both sides to function. And so that was one of the reasons I was like, I need to go back. But the main one was I just didn't want it to become a job and hate it, because I love music with all of my heart. So I was like, okay, you're missing science. You're also wanting money so that we can basically promote our stuff outside of Oklahoma. Because you can never blow up in your own city. It's weird. It's just like you have to blow up somewhere else and then they'll recognize you. I mean, that being said, Oklahoma has given us a lot of love with like getting us on more music festivals. So we're getting a lot of traction. It doesn't translate to money. You know, it's just like you're still at the point where you're like, well, I guess I got paid $100 for that 1 hour show for 3 people. Thanks, you know? Yeah. So if I was like, okay, let's remove the stress of money all of a sudden, you know, just like, let's go back to work. And once you have that stress gone, let's see how the creativity changes again. So as soon as I start work back again, I started going in more fucking experimental. It's just like, it kind of, when you don't expect anything to happen with the passion side of your life, that's when things come to you. The more you want shit to happen, the more you're gonna be stuck. It's kind of weird how universe works in a way.
So where going back to the work, but still like you guys were pursuing
music full time. But now it's in a way where we don't expect anything from it. All we want to do is like go perform, and whatever happens from it, it happens, kind of thing.
So is there like do you guys have like what music career success look like?
For me is traveling the world with my music. Like that's what mine looks like, and making just enough money where me and my wife can just hang out in Hawaii, like in a house somewhere, you know, so I can just create and not worry about, I don't want Lamborghinis and shit like that. Right. Something cheaper, but I don't want anything, you know, maybe a WRX again, but I don't want any of that. You know, for me, it's just like, hey, if I can comfortably live with it, and if I can make enough money that, you know, it keeps me going as a musician, that's good. Like I'm cool with it. Yeah.
So yeah, same here, man. Yeah, I'd love to travel and do music, man. I love to meet the people that we perform for, all of that stuff, man. Yeah, that's the dream.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's a story I heard. Like there is a fisherman that was doing fishing, right, in a small village, and he was making like less money, all that kind of stuff, and then like some businessman works in, and the businessman would say, hey, why don't you buy a boat so you can travel far, and then you can fish more. He's like, I don't need to, I'm totally happy with what I have. And he's like, well, but if you buy a boat and then you travel far away, then if you like be far away from your family, then you can make more money. And then now, okay, what's after next? And then he's like, well, you can buy more boats, and then you can fish more, and then you be separate from your family for maybe 6 months at a time, but you make more money. And then he asked, well, now what, right? And then he said, well, once you do that, you can have somebody else to do it. You can buy a fishing market, you can sell it, all that kind of stuff, and then maybe you probably have to move to a city far away from family, and then you do that for like 20 years, and then you will make a fortune. He's like, what's next, right? And then he said, well, then you can retire with all your money, and then you can fish, and then you can be with your family.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm doing that.
You're doing that right now. Yeah, you know? That was one of the biggest thing going back home to India, because I've been in India, but you know, once you like start working here and your life is a little bit comfortable, you go back home. The disparity between, you know, like the poor and the rich is just so stark in India, and that's like one of the things is like, hey, dude, you had a fucking good job. Like, what are you doing? Like, people here are struggling, and that was one of the things too. It just like, but they're happy. You know, they're like, hey, this is what I have, and I learned a lot from there. Just like just circumstances are, you know, like it is what it is a lot of times. You need to always, you know, try to get out of it. It's a bad circumstance, but sometimes you just have to accept it's like, hey, I got a decent job, you know, and then you're doing music, like you, like that's the thing, right? And you know, you're enjoying, so why do you need to just keep adding more shit to it? Just like just be in the moment and just live.
I mean, I think that's true, and it's just finding the balance and what makes you happy, right? And then like you guys talked about finding who you are and all that kind of stuff, but if you define yourself who you are in the box, but people change, so who you are might change down the line. But I mean, that's something I've been thinking about.
That happens, that's a crisis.
That's a crisis.
But anyways, that I do ask this question to every guest. 2018, what were you guys doing in 2018?
2018, man, what was I doing?
That's 5 years ago.
I was getting divorced in 2018, man. That was a crisis. Man, that's something that's funny because you know, I'll just be real, man. I remember when I was you know, I had a very broken family, you know, growing up, and I remember telling somebody one time, I said, I will never ever, when I was a teenager or something, I said, I will never ever get divorced. and there I was, 2018, man. But that actually, all that stuff that I went through actually went into the work that we do, into the Finite Galaxy. It went into stuff that I'm, you know, into my writings. A lot of the stuff that I talk about healing, about transformation. You go through something like that, and you start finding out things about yourself. You start finding, you know, the one thing you never wanted to happen in life, it pushes you up against the wall, and then you hit that crisis, and you're okay. What now? Either I'm gonna spiral, or I'm gonna come out of this a better person. And I chose I'm gonna definitely come out of this a better person. And it was a journey for me, you know. And so that's something that has gone into everything that I do now. And so 2018, I was going from one person I thought I was to something even stronger and better.
Yeah, I mean, like, the reason I asked you 5 years ago is, I mean, thank you for sharing about that story, but I think I don't think I'm expert of anything, or I'm not qualified to give people advice like everybody, but I think I'm qualified to give myself advice 5 years ago. That's kind of what I want to do for my YouTube channel and
that's awesome,
podcast and all that kind of stuff. So what would you give yourself 5 years ago? What advice would you give yourself 5 years ago?
Meditate more. Don't take life so seriously. Don't take what people say too seriously. And just make sure you always do what you love. Make sure you take care of everything that needs to be taken care of, and just be strong and face life with an attitude of total willingness and just joy. Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of like a deep, like you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but you said like when you were like high school, said like you never get divorced, right?
Yeah.
So would you say you would have been happier if you got divorced earlier?
Would I be happier if I got divorced earlier? That's definitely an interesting question. That's hard, man. I don't know. What I do know is, life plays out the way it's meant to, and I'm all right with that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
All right, 2018. I don't know. I was still working at Devon. Was with my girlfriend. That year is when I found music, so that's a good year for me. That's a beautiful year. That's when Sundeep came full out as a artist, kind of thing. Not really. It was shitty beats back then, but that's when I like knew like, hey, this is something beautiful. So, but I'd still had a lot of mental health, issues back then too. Like, because it's you come from a culture where you're always compared to everybody else. It's like, remember that dude's kid is a doctor, that dude is married to a white, brown girl, because I'm married to a white lady. So it's just like I'm already like breaking all the cultural barriers and stuff like that. And so my mom wasn't too happy about it when I started dating her and stuff like that. But yeah, it was one of those things where I still do that a lot, where I compare myself to other people. It's that ego part of you. It's just like, oh, why am I not that? So I think 5 years back, I will do, probably my advice would be, to just chill the fuck out, dude. Like, things are fine. You're going to find what you love. But you just have to, you will find it once you open up your mind to what's inside, kind of thing. You will find what you want to do. So for me, it's just like, just enjoy your time with your beautiful girlfriend. Just, take care of people around you. Don't worry about too much about all this Indianness and what's right, what's wrong, because that's a culture.
Indianness.
Yeah. Yeah. You're fine. You got a good job. And then just, if he's like, don't quit music, like, and I didn't, but I'm just like, again, don't quit it, because something's gonna happen with it. So,
you still married?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you not wear a ring?
No.
Okay.
I just don't get. I don't like rings on my finger. But
is that like a culture thing?
Yeah, we don't really have rings because my parents never wore. My brother doesn't wear one. I think he does now. He's older than me and he's married. And yeah, it just, I wear it sometimes. Just depends. I tell my wife, it's just like, hey, I want the ladies in the audience to know maybe I'm single so they can. I'm kidding though. But no, I never got used to it. Like, I'm probably, if I find something cool, like I am trying to get more blinged out as a performer, with chains and stuff. But yeah, I just didn't like it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, like, honestly, like, what I'm curious because, like, I mean, my girl is white lady too.
Yeah.
Like, what's like struggle.
Yeah, I like how we're just calling them white ladies,
Yeah. I mean, like, my girl can't speak Japanese.
Hey, so
like,
my wife has been learning Hindi since last 2 years.
Yeah.
So, and she's getting pretty good at it, but it's different. It's definitely different, like culturally.
Yeah.
Because it took a lot for my parents to be okay with it.
Yeah.
Because she's older than me. Like, I've already hit so many wrong things with my love life. Like,
you can't have an older girl in India?
No.
Why is that?
Because it's I don't know what it is, but the culture says that, hey, the man should be older than the woman, and I'm already like, since I was little, I was always questioning things in my culture. It's like, why is it this way? Why is it that way? Why is it this way? So it was very obvious for me to just go crazy. My brother also didn't marry Indian. He married a Russian girl who came here when she was like 16. So we both have just disappointed.
She was younger though?
Yeah, she's younger. Yeah, and they're fine. And that's what they're fine with. They're like, you know what? We're good. Yeah. But I don't know what it is, but yeah, it just, she's older than me. She's white, and it took, I think my mom still, and when we said that we don't want kids, dude, things were starting to fly, like daggers and stuff. Because that's like, now I'm adding on to like, you know, oh, you don't even want to give us a satisfaction of a kid. But for us, it's just like, no, we just started doing what we love in life. I was like, I don't, you know, and both of us, I'm glad both of us talked about it. We're just like, yeah, we just don't want to have kids. Yeah.
Your music is baby.
Music is baby, bro. And all the equipment is baby.
What about how do you guys see yourself 5 years?
What we were talking about earlier, traveling, telling people about, you know, what we're about, doing the music. We really love what we're doing, man. So the more we can expand it, the better. 5 years from now, we'd love to be doing this, regardless of whether we're actually living off of it or not. We want to make sure we're pursuing it fully and touring around and just giving people the gifts that we've got.
This is the advice to, you know, when I look back to this podcast every year. Don't quit music. That it is. So like 5 years from now when we meet each other, like, I didn't quit music, bro.
So the reason I'm asking this question, I think it's such a like cliche question, but I think it's interesting to me. And then also I have like side project going on, and then I want you guys to send me a picture from 5 years ago later, and then I'm gonna publish a book written by no words by me, but I will be the author. But 5 years ago, advice, and then picture, and then written whatever people said, and then modern stuff they're talking about. And then 5 years later, I'm gonna email or reach out to, because after I'm gonna do this podcast every week, so 52 times 5, like 250 people around, and then hopefully 100 people will come back to me, and then I will have like 100 people of like 10 years of spam life, like a kind of coffee table kind of.
That's cool, man.
Like
that's
like
cool.
A book. So that's kind of why I'm like
that's
asking
really cool.
this question. But hopefully this will happen.
It will happen, bro.
Manifest, you know.
Manifest will happen. Hey, we're ready, so we at least got 2 people.
But is there anything else I didn't cover you guys wanted to share, talk about?
Man, I'm just gonna plug our stuff and where we're performing. So we're going on tour in May. So we're performing. We have another show for NMF, No Music Festival, tomorrow, where we are.
Oh, we won't be live by then.
Hey, that's fine. For future, there'll be a video of us. But May, we are trying to do more like outside of Oklahoma performances. So mid-May we're going to Albuquerque and Denver, and then maybe in July we're going to Austin, San Antonio area. So just Finite Galaxy, dude. Just can Google it, and because it's a unique name. The only other thing that shows up is there's a GitHub open source game called Finite Galaxy. It's just we come up first. We come up first. All our socials, all of our press releases and all that stuff. Yeah,
we got a few different EPs coming out soon.
Yep.
It's amazing projects.
Yeah, and we hopefully manifesting. We'll have vinyl, physical copies of our next album end of this year. It's got 18 tracks on it. It's called Dreamin' of Friday.
Hell yeah.
And that's what, it's that was the whole thing about the album, is like people dream about, when Friday comes in, I'll live my life. And they'll forget, like, every day you're basically just counting towards
Friday,
and then so it's like, hey, we need to change our attitude. We're just like, I know there's struggles, I know there's a lot going on, but if we can just find the time to just be like, hey, today's beautiful too, as good as Friday, then we don't have to dream of Friday.
Monday.
That's right. Except for Monday can fuck off. Monday cannot be anything else. It can be just Monday. But man, we're glad to be chatting with you, dude. This was incredible. Because it's like, we're getting to a point where we're like, hey, music is one thing. We also want to talk about what we feel and how music affects us.
I enjoyed it. I mean, like, I was kind of curious. One more question.
Yeah, man.
So, like, I have so many, like, musician friends and, like, local musician, right? Like, they're, like, play in the same bar, same place, same price, whatever, for years, right? But, like, you guys are doing shit, right? Like, say, going to New Mexico, San Antonio, whatever, right? To expand your horizon, like that. I guess 2 questions I have is like, how do you guys make money from music, also like how do you expand from local?
How we make money with music? We don't. No, we make like a little bit here and there. Like we're starting to get more decently paid gigs, because it takes a while for people to notice. Like once Normal Music Festival, we were headlining that yesterday. That's when a lot of people was like, oh, do you want to perform with us? And that's when good opportunities came along. Because, you know, people also want to invest in something, you know, they're like, oh, it's not a proven thing, but it's like, oh, they're doing it like properly.
Yeah.
So, money, like it's still not there yet, so we make monies with shows. We're trying to look for like brand endorsements and stuff like that kind of have the same I guess mission as us, which is mental health. And then touring is just like I've been just incessant trying to contact people, but not like annoying way, you know. I'm just like, I'll make sure that I will contact somebody who I do genuinely appreciate. And you know,
how do you contact them?
Instagram, email. I'll follow them, I'll comment on their stuff because I genuinely like it. And then because I never really want anything from people, I just like hey, I just want you to keep doing what you're doing kind of thing. But there's opportunities that will come along where just like, hey, I'm coming to town, and he's like, hey, I want to perform with you kind of thing. And that's how the connections start. So, you know, like the people or the person who's coming from Denver, he's a DJ and a multi-instrumentalist himself, and he tours with one of our favorite artists, Decca. He's a pretty big artist in the underground scene. So he was like, hey, I said, hey, if you have any places in Denver we can perform, let us know. And he asked the same thing. He's like, hey, I'm trying to get to Oklahoma City area. And we just hopped on a Zoom call and we, you know, just plotted this route. So for me, it's just like connecting with like-minded people makes it easier for us to get out of Oklahoma. I think it's called like show swapping, where basically you go to their town, do a show, and then you bring them here. That's how you kind of build the community of feel like, hey, we're bringing somebody from Austin here, so you guys come out, show love. And then they do the same. It's like, hey, we have people coming from Oklahoma City, bilingual rap group, come out, show love. That's how you kind of grow the fan base slowly and steadily.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You have any tips?
No.
He's one of those people. He's learning slowly.
The ropes, of all that.
I still tell him, it's like, oh, it's so cute, you're posting on Instagram. He's tagging like Norman Arts Festival.
I'm just now getting my music Instagram like flowing and stuff. Man. I'm trying to post stories and shit. I'm like, how do I hit the fucking I didn't do it right. I don't know.
So I'm teaching him.
It's a struggle.
It is, dude. It's a kind of good and bad of social media. Good, you can get in front of a lot of people. Bad is you can get in front of a lot of people. Because it's like you kind of start comparing, you start comparing your stats with the people's stats. So I've been trying not to do that much. Just be like, hey, we'll just post our stuff. And if people reciprocate, good. I'm not gonna, like, you can't force somebody to like your music. Like that's not music then. That's, dictatorship. Well, like my shit, because right now, like, I can be mad about all the TikTok songs that are huge, because we got like 240 monthly listeners, which better than zero. But you got some person that comes like one song and it's like 1 million. It's like hurts, but at some point it's the longevity that we want, not the I'm famous now and I don't know who the fuck knows me. Because again, like a lot of it's like money. It's like, oh, they got all this money and then they're showing off their cars. For us, it's just like, hey, whatever you say today is gonna be as good 15 years from now. So think about that. Don't think about the at the moment success.
For sure. For sure. The guy who came in here before today saying that he has like made like a Lego short videos and like stop motion stuff. And then
who was it?
Kyle William Roberts.
I follow him.
And then he was telling me, said like, going viral with the videos and stuff is tough, and then you might get lucky and get that stuff, but he was telling me about he finds like those articles getting the cover of the like certain like a viral videos or something like that, and then he finds of whose journalist is. He emails, say, hey, I have a video for you that your audience might like. Then he sends it. So then he gets covered by Forbes or whatever. And then that's how he got like millions of views of his YouTube channel. I thought that was like clever, because it just takes luck, but also it takes hard work to get successful, to be seen. And yeah, I thought that was very cool. But
it's also like the consistency of it. You have to be consistent with it.
Yeah.
Like when you drop off, the momentum stops, and all of a sudden you're picking back up, and people have forgotten what you're doing. You know, if you're new, you definitely need that consistency to grow.
Sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that's why I'm doing this every week.
There you go. That's the consistency, bro.
Well, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, you were saying like don't force people to like stuff, but if you are watching YouTube this please like and comment.
Hey, that's not music though, you know. It just
the podcast, and I'm gonna tag all the links for Finite Galaxy over here in the link in the description. Go go follow their stuff, and if you're listening to a podcast platform, give me a 5-star review. I think it does some good things for this podcast. And then well, thank you guys for watching this show, listening to this show, and then see you guys next Friday. Peace.